Well, joining us now to discuss the Trump administration's tougher line on immigration is Tamar Jacoby, President and CEO of ImmigrationWorks USA, a national federation of small business owners working to advance better immigration law. Welcome back to the show, Tamar.
Great to be here.
Now, help us understand, let's start with the positive impact that comes with immigration.
Ask any economist, how do you create economic growth? There are two ingredients, innovation and a growing labor force. Well, America would have precious little or much less of both if we didn't have immigrants. In the dot-com boom, immigrants fueled what happened in Silicon Valley. They were a third of the scientists. And they've been going to be responsible for almost all of our labor force growth in years ahead, immigrants and their children. So they're key to the economy, really.
So it's certainly ironic that we're seeing this a lot of negativity when it comes to immigration. So let's look at some of the things we're hearing. What are some of the downsides of immigration and perhaps ways to really address those issues?
Yeah, in my view, the upsides way outweigh the downsides. But of course, when you bring new people who are different to a place, it can take time for them to fit in. It can be uncomfortable for them and uncomfortable for the people here. There's some competition with a very small sliver of American workers. Immigrants are mostly less educated than Americans or much more educated. So at the top and the bottom, there's a little bit of competition, but mostly they benefit us because they're different from us, so it complements us. I don't know, I'm struggling to look for the costs. There's some costs. Immigrants are often poor, and any poor workers in a state like the United States where we pay for a lot of things for people, any poor people in the end cost somewhat more than they pay in taxes. But if we need someone to do the work, and whoever it would be costing us money.
Now, we do see Trump's harsher line on immigration, especially on the southern border. What sort of impact do you think that's going to have on industries who really rely on this?
Well, I mean, the industries again, remember, there's low-skilled workers and high-skilled workers. So the people who are getting affected on the border are mostly the people who hire low-skilled workers. That's farming, it's construction, it's hotels and restaurants and janitor services. You're already hearing from construction companies that they're bidding on 10 or 20% less than they could be bidding on because they can't find the workers to do the work. And you're going to see housing prices start to creep up because of it. You're going to see food get more expensive. It's going to have impacts in hotels.
Now, what about positive impacts? Are there any industries or sectors that really benefit from some of Trump's policies, you think?
I think there are people they're Americans who think they might benefit, that their cousin might take a job if there wasn't an immigrant there to take it, but I don't think there's much of that.
And it's interesting because actually, as of February, the Bureau of Labor Statistics shows there are nearly 6 million unfilled jobs. And
Exactly.
Employers are saying, we can't find people with the right skills.
Right.
Do any of these policies go towards bridging that skills gap?
Well, I mean, that's a whole different kind of policy, right? Training people. But I mean, again, if you're talking about mostly what immigrants do are those low-skill jobs that a lot of Americans don't want to do anymore. Picking lettuce and cleaning toilets in hotels and working on hot roofs and cold roofs in the hot and cold weather, or they're PhD scientists, and we don't have enough of them. There's some competition. There's some competition at that for very low-skilled Americans with no high school diploma, and at the high end there's some competition. But mostly they're different enough from American workers that they fill out the chain.
Now, let's also get to some of these visa changes to the H-1B visa program, which focuses on high-skilled technical workers. How will that help Americans find work, though?
Well, the argument is that they compete with Americans. Economists find some competition. They find some impact on not wage declines, but slightly slower wage growth in some cases. Again, I believe that those high-skilled workers create jobs for Americans. They grow the pie for everyone, and they help create jobs.
And just quickly, speaking of job creation, we know that the EB-5 program is set to lapse this week, and that's for foreign investors who spend at least $500,000 with job creation projects for U.S.
I'd be very surprised if it's allowed to lapse. There's been an ongoing fight for a couple of years about should they make some reforms to it. They may squeeze in the reforms before the end of the week. My guess is those reforms once again will get put off till later in the end of the year, and we'll have this debate again in September.
So how concerned do you think employers should be at this point, especially the ones who really rely on foreign workers?
I think it's a little bit, the famous phrase about the frog in the water, and gradually it gets hotter and hotter, and you don't realize it, and pretty soon it's boiling. I think that is going to be happening in some industries, and I think it will be of concern. It will be slow, but it will be of concern. And the question is, at what point will the employers really start to push back and say, we can't do this to us?
Well, certainly bracing for impact. Thank you so much, Tamar Jacoby, President and CEO of ImmigrationWorks USA.